So in this video, I want to show you how I use 3 apps together, trying to leverage the strengths of each one of them to rapidly collect and organize and manage tasks. So the 3 apps I'll be talking about today are Drafts 5, Shortcuts, and OmniFocus. OmniFocus is the end destination here. That's how I manage all of my tasks. But getting things into OmniFocus, a little bit counterintuitively, is easier if you don't use OmniFocus. So I'm going to show you how I use these other 2 apps, Drafts and Shortcuts, to get things into OmniFocus. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the Drafts app. And Drafts is famous for starting with text. You immediately get, you don't have to hit any options or anything like that. You immediately get to a screen that gets you writing text. So I could write, but one of the things that I find most helpful about Drafts is the dictation feature. I really like to do speech to text. I like it in Google Docs. I like using it in Siri when it gets it right. But Drafts really has this nice advantage where it will not let the recording stop until you actively stop it. So what happens to me sometimes is I'll be working on a list and I'll be thinking in my head, and because I've stopped talking, Siri has stopped listening, and so it'll stop dictating. And same thing happens in Google Docs. Drafts will keep going. So I can have it listening to me for 2 minutes while I'm making my coffee and walking around the kitchen and just saying things out loud as they come into my mind, or just sitting quietly and just doing a brain dump, which is what I'm going to show you right now. When the end of a day or the end of a week, I'll sit down and just try to get all of the thoughts out of my head in classic getting things done style, just trying to do a mind sweep or a brain dump and just getting things out of my head and into a system. Drafts is really nice because, again, it doesn't stop listening to me until I tell it to. So here on the bar right above the keyboard is a Drafts keyboard, an action keyboard, I think is what it's called. And I have mine set up so that the dictation is right there. I also have it set up as a shortcut right here, as you can see this red one here that says Dictate Note, where I can click on this and the shortcut will open Drafts and automatically start listening, which is really helpful. But either way, I'll show you the way through the app itself. So you just hit New, and now Drafts is listening to me. And it's not going to be perfect, just like no voice dictation software is, but it's pretty good. And again, the killer thing here is that it's not going to stop until I tell it to, even if I stop talking for a while. See, by this point, I think it probably would have cut me off if it was just Siri. But anyway, you get the point. I'm going to cancel this one. I'm going to cancel that because really what I'm trying to show you is not just the dictation feature, but I'm trying to show you what else we can do with that. So here we go, another blank draft. I could hit Insert to put it right where this cursor is, or because it's a blank document, New and Insert basically mean the same thing, I believe. So I'm going to go ahead and hit New. And I'm going to put together my to-do list. So, new paragraph. Make a video showing the dictation engine in Drafts. New line. Edit the video in Final Cut Pro. New line. Publish the video to my YouTube channel. So I paused it. We're still in the dictation menu, but as you can see, it worked really well. And I just did the top part just to show you, to introduce this element. But as soon as I'm done, I can go ahead and hit create, or if I want to continue dictating, I can hit the play button again and it'll start listening. But the new line feature here is also something I wanted to show you. How I have the rest of it set up, it's important that you do new lines. As you can see up top, from the first sentence down to my list, I used a new paragraph, so it did 2 returns to give me that space, but I just use new line after everything that I say for my to-do list, so it bumps it down just 1 line. So I'm gonna hit, and there it is. So I'm gonna get rid of the text before that because it's not part of our list. There we go. So one of the things that I really like, which is just a weird little thing about me, I guess, I like my file names and my tasks and a lot of things. I like a lot of things to be in title case. So I could take each one of these and manually change the case, and I could do that, and I would like the outcome, but it would definitely not be a good use of my time. And I want all these things in OmniFocus, and I want them all in there separately, and it's just, there are a couple things here that just make this a little bit clunky until you start using shortcuts. So I'm going to open up shortcuts, and I'm going to go to this shortcut that I have called Weekly Review Brain Dump. I'm going to show you the shortcut and then show you how I use it. So what it's going to do is going to take where it says shortcut input, it's going to take the information that I give it, it's going to separate that information by new lines, so you can probably start foreshadowing here, and it's going to take each of those lines and capitalize it with title case, and then it's going to add that item, that individual item from each line to OmniFocus, where you say it says repeat item. So the name of my task is going to be the stuff I just said in drafts, and then where it says context, I use OmniFocus 3, so it uses tags, so I have multiple tags here where it says context. And these are my normal tags that I want on everything. I can modify it later, but it's probably going to save me time if I just go ahead and tag every item with normal energy, normal impact. I'm using an impact effort matrix to do my tasks. So, and then it just ends that repeat. So however long my list is, every single line is going to become its own item in OmniFocus and be capitalized with title case. So I'm going to do that from drafts, actually. So let me pull up my draft, and I'm going to come over here, and I'll show you these other ones in the future, but under my task management area, the first thing up there is a brain dump. So I'm going to click on that and activate the task, but I'm going to show you all it is. All you have to do is make a task or make an action, and the step is run a shortcut. And so I just put the name of the shortcut in there, and it's going to do, it's going to run that shortcut from inside of draft, so I don't have to jump back and forth. So again, here's my task. It's on my draft, and I want to do the brain dump task management action. So it's going to go through each of my lines, and it's doing what I asked it to each item and putting them all in my OmniFocus inbox, and it's gone. It's out of my drafts inbox. It actually gets moved over to the archive. And if I go to OmniFocus, there are my drafts, right? It even respected, and that's something I like about it, it respects the YouTube, like the capitalization of the T. It doesn't mess that up using that title case in shortcuts. But there are my 3 tasks. Now, if I wanted to, as you could see from that shortcut, I could have put in due dates for this. I could have changed where it went. I have it go to the inbox so I can process it later, but if I wanted to, I could have it go to a specific project. I could have lots of different tags up there and could do many things. But this is a really nice way for me to get a lot of content out of my head and into OmniFocus how I like it, so that I can process this on my computer later. And so this is very much, for me, an example of how these 3 apps work together to be greater than the sum of their parts. There's a very nice synergy here that saves time and improves accuracy with every single use. So I would encourage you to look to see how you can get apps to talk to each other, and I'll show you more examples of how I get my apps, and especially these 3 apps, to work together for some other things, because as you saw, I have some special ones for home tasks and school tasks and things like that use some more features which are pretty interesting. So hopefully you found this helpful. Until next time.